Carbon monoxide. God, how much is in here? So today we are back working on the Trans Am because you know what? Fall is not going to be too far off, and I want to get this thing at least with a completed interior driving around. I've kind of been putting it off because of the T-tops. We had a shit ton of rain yesterday, a lot of rain, hours of just downpouring rain. This car's been sitting outside, and there is a little bit of water in it. So we got some in the footwell on the driver's side, which I don't know where that would have came in by. And then there's a tiny bit in the back, kind of seat well on both sides. Passenger side has nothing by the door. Forward, it's all kind of just in the back. So today we're gonna do a couple of things. We're going to replace the glass hinges because they appear to be bent. Yes, that actually is a thing with these cars. And they also may be leaking water. That's another common spot where water's going to come in is around the hinges. So let me kind of show you what's going on with this, and then we'll take a look at the hinges that Hawk sent me. So we got some water here, kind of a substantial amount. However, like I said, with the rain we had, it could have been much worse. Even in the back here, it's kind of all we got. I don't know how much may have drained out through that hole there. There's like a rivet. But kind of the same on both sides, a little bit there, a little bit there. From what I could tell, it looks like it's coming in right here on both sides because it's actually wet. Probably not going to see this, you can see the drip. It's wet right in here. And it looks like it's trickling down from where the strip channel is stuck to the edge of the glass. There's a gasket under there. I don't know how that would have got through. It might be creeping in around the edge here. I don't know. I have a place to look. However, like all the common spots where these things used to leak, like the T-top bar and this giant space here, it doesn't appear to be leaking. However, it could be running down behind this plastic. It's probably how the water got down there. But let's take a closer look at these hinges. So you see on the Trans Am here how the hatch is kind of overhanging the body. Same thing on this side. And if we come up here, you'll see we could pretty much get about 3/4 of my fingertip in there. However, if we go over to the Camaro, you'll see that it's not nearly as bad. And if we look at the window, the gap between the glass and the body of the car, it's way less. I can only get maybe half a finger in there. So that's what we're going to try to rectify today by replacing those hinges. So Hawk sent me hinges for both the Camaro and the Trans Am. We're going to be getting both of them taken care of today. And it is a common problem that these stupid hinges bend. Some people will argue with you. They'll tell you the hinges don't bend. That's not a thing. It's the deck lid moving. But I just want to show you the hinges. So these are 100% made in the USA. And this isn't an ad for Hawks. Like I said, they sent me these, but they're not paying me anything. Seth actually is working there now, who sent me the LED lights for the Trans Am, and he also sent me a set for the Camaro. I haven't installed them yet. He actually wanted a set of these to do a video on, and they are quality pieces. They're 100% made in the USA. China's making knockoffs of these now, apparently. However, Hawks isn't just buying those and sending them out. Like, these are very quality pieces. Once again, 100% made in the USA, so that's why you're going to be paying a premium for them compared to the the knockoffs that are coming from overseas. But pretty much, we're going to get these swapped out. We're going to try to compare them side by side to see what the stock ones look like, if they actually are like super bent or not. These actually feel incredible. I mean, it's just a hinge, but it's a friggin' nice piece. It also does include the bolts, and we got to be sure we don't over tighten these when we install them, because we're just tightening hinges onto glass. So if we torque them too tight, we're going to shatter that friggin' window, and it is going to ruin my year, possibly, because it would suck that much. So I'm not exactly sure my course of action here. You'll probably want to pull the hatch off to do this. However, I don't have that luxury. I'm the only one here, As you guys may know, my employees are off today. You know me, I like to take the shortcut if possible, but I really don't have a choice here. I kind of can't pull this glass off myself. If I try, I'm probably gonna break it. So what we're gonna do is, I'm trying to find my keys first of all. I'm gonna see if I could just prop one side up. We'll loosen them on, we'll see if we can slip it out, and then maybe that'll work out. Oh God. Oh. That's great. The cap is spinning. God, it turned. There we go. A little loose, but it's gonna wanna. All right, maybe we'll keep the support on. We'll just stick like a stick under it. Kind of get the weight off the hinge. There she goes. So now let's go in the car. We got two 13mm bolts right on in the back hatch there. We're definitely free. Yeah, there's just a bunch of silicone on it. So close. It's just hitting on the edge of the glass where it's tucked under the hood, under the roof of the car. Those are supports. Ooh, that's sketch. Okay. God damn. Oh, God. Okay. Let's go bring her down. Oh, man. That's a heavy-ass piece of glass. Holy shit. Oh, beautiful. Of course I can work with that. That's the way to do it. Nice. Oh, wow. These things are bent to shit, huh? So there you go. Clear as day. If anybody tells you the hinges don't bend on these cars, it's just the deck lid that needs to be reseated. They're full of shit, clear as day. That thing is absolutely bent to hell. So let's go ahead and get the area, the mounting area kind of cleaned up. We'll get this new guy installed. This is like literally like silicone for your bathtub. Just clear silicone somebody put in here. Yeah, there we go. So I don't really have any silicone on me or anything. I'm gonna use, this may be a good thing or a bad thing. I got some butyl rope sealant that's used to pretty much seal everything on these cars. I'm just gonna go around the, you know, both bolt holes. Hopefully that seals us up. You know, once that's tightened, that should seal up pretty well. A lot of it's gonna squeeze out. All right, let's see, we got our hinge in there. These are marked left and right. Right there. There's our left side. Beautiful. Heavy glass. Okay, let's see, can I get our, there's the supports. It's one support. God. Damn, this shit's heavy. I don't have the supports holding the glass. I got a prop rod, but they're on there for backup, at least to stabilize it. Because I don't want to have them supporting it, especially since I have only one bolt, and bolt are loose on the other hinge. I don't want to put too much pressure on the glass. Nice. There's number 2. Beautiful. All right, so we're in there loose. What do we want to do? I guess I could cinch those down a little bit. You know, pick up some of the slack. I really hope the butyl is a good idea. I mean, it's weird. I don't know if these use gaskets or what the factory put here, because it's like, it looked like inside the car there's butyl. But it almost looks like they just sealed it around the nuts. They didn't actually like seal it on the outside. Going in much easier than coming out when there's not a ass ton of silicone holding the thing down. This hardware too, they give you comes a little paper gasket, just sits against the glass. It's one. So I don't want to go, I'm not going ape shit on this. Just snug. We want to make sure, because the pins lock into the hinge. So when you loosen them, they're not supposed to spin. The other ones were just so rotted away. And that's it. Like, I'm using a thumb. That feels like it's home. All right, those are just snug. Kind of happy with it. Don't feel like pressing my luck. Let me just come in here. I'll snug these guys down. Ugh. Send them most of the way, and then we'll use this just to kind of get a feel. There we go. Remember, all of my butyl caulk is gonna want to crush down. Still lines up. Incredible. Like, there's not much adjustment in them, but you can kind of slide the glass around. First of all, look at that. Like, can't even get half a finger in there. Glass is back up where it belongs. And you look back here, look at that. Compared to before, we're almost right on the money. This side's even better. And you know, you can loosen stuff, try to wiggle it around to get alignment perfect. This is good enough for me. These cars were never lined up that great from the factory. And well, there you go. Bent and super bent. So you can see more of the same on this one, just not as bad, nearly as bad. barely kind of out there. And even up here, it's pretty much where the Trans Am is now. I'm not even sure if this car really needs it, but we'll go ahead and swap them out anyway, being we got them. Tell you one thing, holy crap, these came out so easy. There's no rust on any of them. I think, well, I swapped this glass. It's probably why. This glass is from an early 90s. You see it's got the brake light in the back here, even though this car is an 86. Wow, that was extremely easy though. All right, let us have a salad. Throw something on top of the hatch motor so it doesn't want to pull down. Now, do I want to, those are loose. Let's take supports off and then lower it. Yes, yes, yes. That's all the bolts on this side. Oh, miles of room this way. And these aren't siliconed in. Yeah, that's the way to do it. Oh, no, dude, these are totally bent. Holy crap, these are bent to shit. Look at that. Are you kidding me? It doesn't even move. Wow. And that hatch was opening and closing perfectly smooth. That's crazy. How the hell are these so freaking bent? Barely snug with this. You feel the wrench, slow to a little bit of a stop, just leave them there. Don't try to give them that little bit extra. That's it, that's all we need. Let's drop her down, see if she lines up with the hatch motor. See, we got some nice squeeze out on the butyl caulking I put in there. So that's gonna seal up real nice. Okay, that's better. This side's pretty good. Yeah, this side's closer. It's definitely closer. Yeah, we definitely have more space on that side than this side. You know, I'm happy with that. I'm gonna leave it. All right, so that's better. You can see the alignment is still a little bit off. We definitely have a bigger gap on this side. However, I'm pretty sure it was that way before too. And it's not nearly as tucked in, it's almost flush. So I can live with that. I mean, at least the hinges aren't bent to shit now. It's gonna open and close the way it's supposed to. Even though it was doing that before, I still don't understand how the glass was opening and closing so smoothly. Look at these friggin' things. Look at this. This one moves halfway, and then it just stops. This one is sticky, but you could kind of get it to go where you want. Look at that. And those were the Camaro. Trans Am, not nearly as bad, and they actually still moved. All right, so it's the next day. I actually pulled this thing out. I already filmed like the end of the video. I'll give you guys a walk around. We'll get to that in a second, but I didn't have time to really like fiddle with the hatch, and while I was editing this, I didn't really like the way it seemed a little half-assed. Like the hatch wasn't perfectly lined up. The Trans Am came out really good without me having to really tweak anything, but the Camaro, it's still kind of over to one side. The gaps aren't perfect, and there are a few things I feel like I glossed over that I really want to kind of elaborate on and give you just 3 simple steps on how to get these hinges swapped out. You know, 3 things that you want to do to make sure you don't break your glass, because that could potentially happen. All right, so tip number 1, do not over tighten the bolts where they pass through the window. Now, I did find a spec for torque there. Hawps told me 11 foot-pounds, and I believe that might actually be GM spec. However, I wouldn't advise doing them that tight. I would advise 1/4 inch ratchet, short box wrench if you have like I did, just kind of wrist tight with your thumb. Just kind of feel it stop, leave it there. You can always tighten them down later if it turns out you get everything lined up and you check them and they ended up loosening up or something driving down the road. Not a big deal. You go too tight, you break the glass, it's done. You need a new window. The other thing you need to know is you want to tighten them down on the glass side first, because any adjustment that you're going to be doing with the window, you're going to be doing on the body side, because the body holes where they actually connect to the car, they're slotted, so you can kind of move the hinge around that way. On the glass, yeah, you have a little bit of side-to-side movement, but you're not going to be able to get much adjustment there. So you're just going to want to get them in place first, get them snug down, and once again, just make sure you don't over-tighten them, just kind of light wrist tight. Not as hard as you could go with your wrists, just until you feel it stop turning. Another reason I say don't go with that torque spec, we're dealing with a 30-year-old window, at best, what, 42-year-old window at worst if it's OEM glass. Not everybody is also going to be using the same torque wrench. Maybe people are using cheap Harbor Freight torque wrenches. Maybe some people are using expensive Snap-on torque wrenches. The window for error here is small, so I don't recommend trying to torque them. Just do them as light as you possibly can by hand. Tip number 2, you're going to want to make sure after you get them tightened to the glass, you get your hatch aligned with the body of the car. Now, like I said, the holes in the body are slotted, so that's going to allow for some movement for the hinges this way. I believe one of these is a square hole and the other one is just a side-to-side slide, so you can slide the hatch over. The important part is not so much the alignment, even though, you know, that's going to make the glass look good all lined up with the body of the car. It's the correlation of the actual hinges with themselves, because you don't want to have one body hinge perhaps getting tightened down like that, and maybe another one is off, either maybe, this is exaggerated, but picture one hinge like that, one hinge maybe like that, or one hinge straight, the other hinge kind of in, because when you go to close the glass, these are going to bind against each other. Best case, you break your hinge, which probably isn't going to happen, the tension is going to break the window. So to get these guys aligned, what you're going to want to do is once they're tightened on the glass, just kind of wiggle the glass around, get the bolts just kind of hand barely tightened just so the hinges can move around, and just kind of raise the window up and down a few times, get it in a place where the hinges are happy, nothing's binding, and then you could go into the car and snug them up. I think the spec for that is like 20 foot-pounds or so. It's tightening into the car, so it's not as crucial as the glass. You know, you're tightening them into metal. But yeah, that's what I would advise doing. Just getting them kind of in place, up and down with the hatch a few times, get them to kind of settle where they want to be, then snug them down. And then lastly, for tip number 3 is make sure your alignment is good with the striker and the hatch motor. Because if your hinges were that thrown off, and if this hatch motor was played with, replaced, what have you, if that striker doesn't fall dead center of this motor, you could potentially break the glass. Once again, exaggerated. Let's say you change the hinges, instead of the striker falling right in the middle, now it's falling a little bit to the left. And then as you close it, it kind of falls in, albeit with a little tension on it, and then as the motor pulls down, it's going to continue to kind of pull that hatch at an angle, and it could potentially pop your glass. So what you want to do is change the hinges, get them all lined up, get them kind of happy where nothing's binding, snug them down in the car, and then just kind of come down with the window, see where the striker falls, see where the body lines are. If they're off, go ahead, you know, loosen the hinges on the body side, kind of get the window slid over where you want it so all your gaps look good. And then lastly, you could come in and adjust the hatch motor so it's kind of lined up center with the striker. Those are the tips I'm going to give you. What we're going to try to do now is loosen my hinges and see if we can kind of slide the glass over, because we have too much gap over here, not enough over here. See if we can get this lined up. One last thing, some of your cars may have shims under these hinges. Mine did not. Neither of my cars didn't. I don't know if they just rusted and fell apart. I thought this was a shim, but it looks like it's some sort of a gasket. You know what? Actually, I think this does have shims on it. All right, I didn't put them back on. However, my window does appear to be lining up. Some cars may actually have stacks of shims under here. So it looks like this car just had 2. These are for the Trans Am. Camaro didn't have any. But if there are shims on there, you might want to go ahead, put them on, maybe leave them off, see where the glass falls. And if you need to raise or lower it with the body of the car, that's what those shims are for. But anyway, I think that's pretty much everything. Let's go ahead, loosen them in the car, and see if we get this glass lined up. Oh, one more thing, as you saw me do, when you're getting all these lined up and the hinges are loose and you're trying to get the body line, have these off, you don't want these fighting back at you while your hatch hinges are loose. That could just end in disaster as well. So I'm gonna pop these guys off, loosen those bolts, and let's see if we get this hatch lined up way better than we had it. All right, so first of all, I'm gonna bring this down. I'm gonna show you guys where our gap is now, and then we're gonna go from there. So here is driver's side, and there is our passenger side. You can see we have quite a huge difference, especially if we come over here compared to over here. And then, like I said, when we put the window on, remember I mentioned we have a much larger gap over here than on that side. So our goal is going to be to loosen where they connect to the body, and I'm going to try to shim or like twist slightly, kind of slide the glass this way, kind of like that, bringing that further up there, and that's going to slide over, get rid of that gap, and it should even out a little bit. All right, so I got the trim removed. I just took a Sharpie and I made witness marks. I just outlined around each bolt just so I could get it kind of like in the general area. When I put it back on, I'm just going to take it off completely. I already went ahead and I loosened the hatch support struts on the car end up here, so now we're going to go pull those off. Lower this down on the struts. I'll zip them off in the car, and then we can lift the hatch up and slide them out, and it'll be sitting completely flat. Now we'll slip them out. Slip them into the car. Now we should come all the way down. Beautiful. And like I thought, the hatch is pretty much in the same spot. So it's not so much a motor issue. We just got to loosen the hinges and slide the hatch over. So we got no change here. Still a larger gap on this side. You know, like I said, I didn't have time yesterday. And this video is going up tomorrow, Sunday. Saturday night right now. So I'm like, you know what? It's not that big of a deal. I'll just align the hatch some other time. But then I thought, you know, the Trans Am, I don't know if you couldn't tell, it needs paint. So at some point, whenever, you know, I do the body work, that car gets paint, clearly that'll be the time to, you know, line everything up nice. However, this car, also, I don't know if you could tell or not, has been painted already. I actually have, yeah, I have just about 7 years on this Mako paint job. And I don't really feel like, well, I don't plan on repainting it anytime soon, because aside from the rear bumper, everything else looks great. Which, you know, immediately told me I'm never gonna line this hatch if I don't do it now. So we might as well do it now. All I want to do is, remember, we don't have the striker in the hatch motor. We're just free to go where we want to. Let's get that. See? Oh, that's beautiful. So let me get you in close. Well, let me get you guys in close. With just the hinges on the body loosened, take a look at this gap. See how we could just kind of rotate it left to right? That's what we're gonna do to get our body line back here lined up. So take a look. This is what we got now. Oh, scared the shit out of me. Carbon monoxide, because I backed the car in like 10 minutes ago. See, now we got an even space. So let's go ahead and tighten the bolts back down. All right, so there we go. I got the hinges in the car tightened down. We got the hatch supports back on. And I have the motor back in its same spot it was in. I lined the bolts up with the witness marks from the Sharpie. So all I'm gonna do now is lower the hatch. I wanna see where that striker is gonna land on that motor. Carbon monoxide. It's looking pretty good. We're a little bit off though. We're slightly to the right of the latch, so I want to fix that. We're coming down, see how we're a little bit over to the right. It'll still fall in, but I want to get that closer to this side where you see that little light passing through. Honestly, that would probably be fine, but let's move this over a little bit, the striker. I think I could get it perfect. She's coming in and she's just kind of rubbing against this and slipping over to the left, which will probably be fine, but I could get it closer. I just want a dead, nice, clean drop, no contact, right down the center of that. Carbon monoxide. God, how much is in here? Don't worry about me. But I had the door open with the fan blowing for another 5 or 10 minutes after I pulled it in. And just now the alarm's going off. So we gotta go left. Oh, beautiful. Just when I think enough. See, right dead center with that. We're not even hitting the little contact pad on the right anymore. It's right dead center. So let's go ahead and get the trim back on here. All the, the weather stripping. Our hatch motor's all tightened down. Well, here goes nothing. Beautiful. That's pretty damn close. Pretty much. Can't even get my fingernail in there. No fingernail in there. Just the tip. Just the tip. All right, I'm calling that good. So that's how you align your hatch. There's more you could do with this. For instance, I read a few things that said if you do the hinges and everything and the hatch still is like jutting out the back, which you can see with mine is like perfectly flush now pretty much. If anything, it's like a hair in. I mean, if it's still jutting out the back, that's what the shims are for. So if you shim the glass up under the hinges on the body side, that'll bring the bottom of the hatch in. So that's a way you could correct that if you already did the hinges or if your hinges aren't a problem. People do also say that the deck lid can slide over time because it's just like butyl caulked or like windshield glued to the glass. And then there are some like 13mm bolts that, secure it down. I don't think there's enough movement in that. I can see it happening, just with heat cycles and these struts just constantly pushing on that with it down. I wouldn't like say that's not possible, but the majority of the misalignment issue is going to be in the hinges. I mean, you saw all I did was just slap hinges on both of these cars. Hell, I even lost shims in the Trans Am. I didn't put the shims back in, and the alignment is way, way better. It pretty much immediately fixed it from jutting out the back. So take a look at your hinges. Just be sure you do it right. Once again, just to reiterate, tighten both hinges on the glass, just wrist snug, barely wrist snug. Put the bolts for the hinge into the body of the car, hand tight on both sides, just barely hand tight, and then back them off a little. Remove the hatch motor, wiggle everything around, get the alignment good, bring the hatch up and down, make sure everything moves nice, snug them down in the car, then pop in your hatch motor and get it lined up with the latch on the hatch. And you should be good to go. Just, for the love of God, do not tighten the hinges on the car, then slip them through the glass, tighten them on the glass, and then try to lift the hinge up, because chances are you are going to shatter the shit out of it. One more little detail. Got to add in. Hawks gave us a coupon code. So use the code on the screen. on Hawks' website for these hinges, you'll save 15%. So it's definitely been a while since I had this car out. A few things coming to mind that need to be remedied. The stupid transducer that came with the Holley Terminator for the fuel pressure took a shit, so it just reads -8 fuel pressure now. It's been that way for like over a year now. The AC I gotta fix. The fan, it's always been an issue, but never got around to doing it. Whenever the AC, the compressor cycles, I hook the fans up to the compressor. So the compressor kicks on, the fans come on. The problem with this car, the fans are so friggin' big, it bogs the idle every time those fans kick on. And it's just the idle will surge and act stupid and then eventually level out. But then the fans will turn back on again and then, or turn back off again, and then it throws it off. I should have just wired it to the AC switch like I did in my Trans Am. So once the AC is on, you know, switch moves to AC or defrost, that turns the fans on, and then it's just always on with the AC. That's the best way to do it. This thing needs a friggin' vacuum assist for the brakes, because with this stage 4 cam that I put in a while ago with the 6.0, if you use the brakes too much, the pedal just goes hard. And I notice it a lot, especially when doing burnouts at the track. When you get out of the burnout, you go to hit the brakes, sometimes you'll have no brakes, like it'll just be hard as a rock. And yeah, vacuum with this cam is not very good. So I got to do that. I have one, I just still haven't put it in. But more importantly, next time you see this, probably in a few videos, we're gonna put a catch can in. I got a Mighty Mouse catch can, because right now it's just vented to atmosphere and nothing but fumes just seep their way in the car. When you come to a stop, you have the windows down. And then when you're on the highway, exhaust fumes seep their way into the car somehow with the windows down, because the collector, those stupid flappy band clamps that are on the collectors just leak like sieves. So I want to get them off, and I want to weld some V-bands on there, being I raised the car back up a while ago. And there's probably some other stuff in there. I got to put a door handle on this side. We'll pull over, I'll kind of give you guys a little walk around. You can see this thing's a little neglected, it's a little filthy. I haven't been using it because, to be honest, it kind of sucks. With the fumes and the clutch pedal's acting a little stupid. I did bushings in the clutch pedal a while ago. I think I may have covered it on the channel. And now, because the pedal is so straight, the linkage for the clutch, being this car was swapped, it rubs on the edge of the clutch pedal, on the, you know, the rod that comes down where it hangs. So the clutch pedal is like stiff and it doesn't come all the way up. Every time, I gotten used to it now. I've been driving this way for so long. Every time I come to a stop, I just put my foot under the clutch pedal and bring it all the way up. Another thing I'm not thrilled about doing, I'm gonna go up there, pull the pedals back down, and probably clearance that a little bit so it doesn't rub anymore, but still runs great. Still fun as hell to drive, still fast as hell, so can't complain too much, that's for sure. See what I mean with the fans? Like they kick on and then it dips like that. It's fine normally, but when you're dealing with the AC constantly cycling the compressor, it's a pain in the ass. And she's a little filthy. Definitely been a minute. This thing isn't even outside anymore. Isn't even in the garage anymore, so she gets extra filthy. I gotta say though, for being outside for probably like 2 years at this point, the Mako paint job's actually holding up perfectly fine. Oh yeah, if you look, probably already noticed the tape, because I was trying to get the door open in this thing when it was covered in snow, and of course I broke the door handle off. So now every time I go to open it, it would rub against the paint, so I put some electrical tape on there for now. I got a new handle, like a $12 handle, if that. It might be, I think you get a pack of 2 for 12 bucks. I got to pull the panel, throw that on. At some point, I'd like to take care of the exhaust. I think I want to throw on a one of those vacuum. What the hell are they? Not blow-up valve. dumps, like for the exhaust, like a cutout. I'm gonna get like a vacuum operated cutout, stick it on the side that has the cap, and then maybe run 2 pipes out the back. That way, when I get on it under boost, it'll just cut out, bypass the 3-inch muffler, and I think it'll be nice having some pipes back on the back. And yeah, you can see this bumper still needs to be resprayed. Only part of the car that has an issue that I didn't prep, that I lazily had Mako do. If you take a look, you can tell I got her raised up a little bit in the front there. So I used to have Eibach Pro Kit springs in it. I put the weight jacks in the back from ground control a while ago to level it out. But yeah, I got rid of the Pro springs in the front because it was sitting a little too low, and I put weight jacks in the front as well, and I just jacked it up. You can see under the front bumper there, I got the factory air dam, and cooling on this thing is phenomenal now. Cruising on the highway, gets down to 190 AC on, 100-degree day. In traffic, runs a little bit warmer, like when you're at a stop. The lowest it'll get down to with the fans just on constantly is like 202. So I set the fan speeds in a way where you like in a normal Lsxmatt, you could probably set them to like 190, 195. The temp will get down and it'll shut off. This car runs hot, so I set them to turn on at 210, off at 205. That way the fans will cycle and they're just not constantly running, trying to bring it down to a temp it's never gonna get there. Yeah, it's a little warm for an Lsxmatt, but it works really good on this car. And the second you get moving, even in just like slow, like, you know, 25 mile an hour driving, it instantly just gets below 200 then, and you know, it cools fine. That air dam makes a huge difference. That's why I want to raise the car up, and by doing that, now I actually have room to get V-bands back on those long tubes, so I can solve my annoying ass leaking collector clamp issue. There she is in all her glory. The Summit Forged Internal 6.0. Once again, remember, this isn't a Kong blower. This is a stock LSA ported snout, and I got the Kong lid just to help with cooling, because the IATs on this thing used to be stupid high with the factory LSA lid. A lot of stuff I want to tweak under here. It's kind of a mess. I don't like the way the battery looks. All these hoses, I feel like I could run them a better way, maybe wrap them. And I mean, it's all cosmetic stuff. Runs really good. It's weird being outside filming again. The lighting is so much better than the stupid garage. Outdoors. So that's gonna do it. I mean, I gotta say, Hinges, I thought it was gonna be a pain in the ass doing it myself, because I looked some videos up on how people were doing them, and everyone seems to pull the glass off. There were a few people online that said you could do it leaving the glass on. Really wasn't as bad as I thought it was. Pretty simple. I wouldn't even bother even trying to remove the glass if you have a person. It went pretty well. And yeah, at least I still can't believe how absolutely bent to shit those hinges were on this car, considering how well the hatch was actually opening and closing. But you know, it's another thing taken care of. You guys will see more of this thing soon. If you want to check out the hinges, definitely go grab them from Hawks. Like I said, they're more expensive than the Chinese knockoffs, obviously, but it's a quality piece, made in the USA. You really can't go wrong. They fit absolutely beautifully.